Next, in the Art of Persuasion, challenge. Challenge. We all respond to a challenge. I don't know a normal human being that doesn't respond to a challenge. From the time we were small, how high can you jump? How fast can you run? How much can you do? Can you win? Right? We all respond to a challenge. So part of the Art of Persuasion is challenge. Here's one of the greatest challenges Mr. Shoaf gave me. He said, let's go do it. That's the great challenge. Not you go do it, let's go do it. Boy, it's easy to say you go do it. You go change your life, you go be successful, you go make the decisions. But how much better if somebody comes along and says, let's go do it. Let's read the extra books, let's make the decisions, let's pour it on. For the next 6 months, let's go full speed 110% and see what comes of that. Boy, what an inspiring thing when somebody says, let's go do it. That's the greatest of challenge. Let's. But life is a challenge. What else is new? It is so important to articulate the challenge, the press, the push, because the push is on. But that's what life is all about, accepting the challenge, driving the roots deep, becoming as strong as possible, accepting everything that comes and making it into what you wish to make it, attempting your best, trying your hardest, thinking well, reading well, living well, struggling with it all. That's called the challenge. But that's what makes life worthwhile. That's where the value is. The struggle for high ideals to make something unique out of your life. I don't know how better to put it. That's it, the challenge. Now here's the last part in the Art of Persuasion. The word is passion. Passion is the emotion. Unique thing about emotions. Emotions is what gives us the drive. Emotions is the spirit. Emotions is the life. It isn't just knowledge that makes you wealthy. It's knowledge mixed with feelings and attitudes and emotions. The surge of feelings and emotions. But here's the key. Our emotions need to be educated. We've got to send emotions to school. We call civilization the intelligent management of human emotions. You've got to have the drive. Without the power, you don't get anywhere. But now we've got to have the power well educated and well directed. But that's what it takes in the final Art of Persuasion, putting yourself into the picture. Passion, emotion, beliefs, convictions. If you can learn to articulate those well, if you'll learn to let that flow, not just from the surface, but from down deep, from a lifetime of experience, if you'll draw from all of those feelings and commitments and awareness, even with some misgivings, even with not knowing it all, even with a sense of humility, but it's that flow of emotion that finally now seals the point in the final Art of Persuasion, when people have picked up the essence that you really believe and are committed to what you've been talking about, and that's why you laid it on the line. That's why you borrowed every quote you could borrow. That's why you said it as well as you could say it. That's why you told every story you could. That's why you used yourself front and center. It's because you so passionately believe in the moment and what you're trying to accomplish in the way of decision-making in touching somebody else's life. Now, how good can you get at all of this, the Art of Persuasion? Probably one of the best illustrations I can give you is an ancient Bible story. I'm an amateur on the Bible, but there's some neat stories. One is so dramatically told, it bears repeating. It says, King Agrippa was advised one day that he had a famous man in his prison. And they came and said, oh, Agrippa, we have got the man you've been wanting for a long time. We've got him locked up in your dungeon. And King Agrippa knew who the man was. He was the great leader of the early Christians, formerly known as Saul from Tarsus, now known as Paul, apostle, leader of the early Christians. And Agrippa has been brought this incredible news that this man is in his dungeon. I'm sure Agrippa said, you don't mean the man himself. They said, oh, king, we have got the man. Agrippa evidently had studied this whole Christian movement and had watched it grow. And evidently he knew a lot about the man. And he said, bring him to me. I got to see the man in person. So they hauled him out of the dungeon and stood this man in front of the king. And the king took one look at Paul and said, Paul, I've heard all about you. Unfortunately, you find yourself in my dungeon. what is going on here? What is this Christian movement? Why are all these people willing to give their lives for this incredible cause? Willing to sacrifice? It's growing like a prairie fire, spreading like wildfire. So what's going on here? What is happening? What is this Christian thing? What about you? And Agrippa said, tell me your story. He shouldn't have asked. Right? One more time. With eloquence to spare. And if you're a good reader of drama and stories, this is one of the most important ones to read in all of literature and history. He gave the greatest example of somebody who knew how to use the language to tell his story. And he went through and told his story. He said, I used to hate the Christians. I was known as Saul from Tarsus. And then one day I'm making it for Damascus. This great light shines out of heaven, knocks me flat, grinds my face in the dirt, and blinds me for 3 days. He told the story with eloquence, precision, and drama. And then he said, I was finally persuaded to be a Christian, became a leader, and now the people I hated I now love. Went through the whole scenario, and he wrapped up his presentation to King Agrippa by saying, O king, I only now have one request. And Agrippa said, pray tell, what is that? And the great man said, my request is, I wished you were just like me. I wish you had what I got, except for these chains. I don't wish these chains on you, but for the change, not the chains. If you could see what I can see, if you could have what I've got, that would be my greatest wish. What an occasion. What a chance for eloquence. What a chance for precision of language. What a chance to relate your experiences and pull from the past and relate it to the future and bring it to the drama of the present. And when he finished his story, the story says the king did send him back to the dungeon, but before he sent him back, he did look squarely at the man and say, I must admit, sir, you have almost persuaded me to be a Christian. What a drama. What an occasion. So how good can you get at this art of persuasion and communication? Well, you might get so good, you might have a chance to persuade the king. Let alone anybody else between you and the king. They won't have a chance.